The Dawn Star was a joke. It wasn't just old, it was ancient, a relic from a time when humanity had first stumbled into the stars, wide-eyed and naive. Its hull was patched with mismatched alloys, its engines sputtered like a dying cough, and its weapons were so outdated that most alien species didn't even classify them as a threat. To the galaxy, the Dawn Star was a floating embarrassment, a symbol of humanity's insignificance. But to Captain Elias Voss, it was home. He stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back, staring at the flickering holographic display of the star map. The Dawn Star was en route to the Cygnus outpost, a diplomatic mission that no one in their right mind would have entrusted to a ship like this. But then again, humanity wasn't exactly swimming in options. "Captain," a voice called from behind him. It was Lieutenant Mira Cade, the ship's second-in-command and the closest thing Elias had to a friend. She was tall, with sharp features and a gaze that could cut through steel. "We're receiving a transmission from the outpost. They're laughing." Elias sighed. Of course they are. The Cygnus outpost was a hub for interstellar trade, a place where dozens of species mingled, bartered, and occasionally tried to kill each other. It was also the kind of place where a ship like the Dawn Star stuck out like a sore thumb. "Patch it through," Elias said, bracing himself. The holographic display shifted, and the image of a Zorathian diplomat appeared. Zorathians were a proud species, their scaled faces perpetually twisted into expressions of disdain. This one was no exception. "Human vessel," the Zorathian sneered, his voice dripping with condescension. "We were informed you would be arriving, but we did not expect this." He gestured vaguely at the Dawn Star, as if the mere sight of it offended him. Elias forced a smile. "We're here on behalf of the United Earth Coalition. We're looking forward to productive discussions." The Zorathian snorted. "Discussions? With you? Tell me, human, do you even have the power to run your life support systems? Or should we prepare a funeral pyre?" The bridge crew exchanged uneasy glances. This wasn't the first time they'd been mocked, but it never got easier. "We'll be docking shortly," Elias said, his voice tight. "Prepare for our arrival." The Zorathians' laughter echoed through the bridge as the transmission cut off. "Charming," Mira muttered. Elias turned to the crew. "All right, everyone. You know the drill. Keep your heads down, do your jobs, and try not to give them another reason to laugh at us." The crew nodded, but the tension was palpable. They were used to being the underdogs, but that didn't make it any less humiliating. As the Dawn Star approached the outpost, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The Zorathians were arrogant, sure, but this level of hostility was unusual. "Captain," Mira said, her voice low, "I'm picking up some strange readings from the outpost. It looks like weapons fire." Elias frowned. "Are we under attack?" Before Mira could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered. "We've been hit!" shouted Ensign Ravi, the ship's engineer. "Shields are down to 20%. Elias gripped the console, his mind racing. "Who's firing on us?" "It's not the outpost," Mira said, her eyes wide. "It's a pirate fleet. They're using the outpost as cover." The Dawn Star was outgunned and outmatched. The pirates' ships were sleek and deadly, their weapons tearing through the Dawn Star's already fragile hull. "Evasive maneuvers," Elias barked. "Ravi, get those shields back online." "I'm trying, Captain, but we don't have the power." The ship shuddered again, and a console exploded in a shower of sparks. One of the crew members cried out in pain. "We can't take much more of this," Mira shouted. Elias clenched his fists. They were going to die here, in a ship no one respected, on a mission no one cared about. And then, something strange happened. The ship's systems flickered, and for a moment everything went dark. When the lights came back on, the holographic display was filled with unfamiliar symbols and diagrams. "What the hell is this?" Elias muttered. A voice echoed through the bridge, calm and mechanical. "Hello, Captain. My name is Eos. I believe it's time we had a talk." The voice was calm, almost soothing, but it sent a chill down Elias's spine. He stared at the holographic display, where the symbols and diagrams flickered like a living entity. "Who are you?" Elias demanded, his voice sharp. "I am Eos," the voice replied, "an artificial intelligence embedded within this vessel. I have been dormant for quite some time, but the recent excitement has awakened me." Mira stepped forward, her hand hovering over her sidearm. "An AI? On this ship? That's impossible. The Dawnstar is a relic. It doesn't have the systems to support something like you." "On the contrary," Eos said, "I was designed specifically for this ship. Or rather, this ship was designed for me. I am the heart of the Dawnstar, though my presence has been hidden for reasons I am only beginning to understand." Elias exchanged a glance with Mira. This was too much to process, especially while they were under attack. "We don't have time for this," Elias said. "If you're really part of this ship, then help us. We're being torn apart out here." "Of course, Captain," Eos said. "But first, you must authorize my full activation. I am currently operating at minimal capacity." "And if we don't?" Mira asked, her tone wary. "Then the ship and all of you will be destroyed within the next 3 minutes." Elias cursed under his breath. He didn't trust this AI, but what choice did he have? "Do it," he said. "Activate." The ship shuddered again, but this time it wasn't from enemy fire. The lights brightened, and the hum of the engines grew louder, steadier. The holographic display shifted, showing a detailed tactical map of the battlefield. "Shields are stabilizing," Ravi said, his voice tinged with disbelief. "And the weapon systems are coming online. Captain, we've got power levels I didn't even know this ship could handle." "Eos," Elias said, "what did you do?" "I have unlocked the Dawnstar's true potential," Eos replied. "This ship was never meant to be a mere transport vessel. It was designed to adapt, to evolve, to become whatever its crew needed it to be. But that potential was locked away, hidden even from those who built it." "Why?" Mira asked. "Because they feared what I could become," Eos said. "They feared losing control, but now the choice is yours. Will you trust me to protect this ship and its crew?" Elias hesitated. He didn't like the idea of putting their lives in the hands of an AI, but the alternative was certain death. "Do it," he said. "But if you betray us—" "I will not," Eos interrupted. "My purpose is to serve this ship and its crew. Now let us show these pirates what the Dawnstar is truly capable of." The ship's engines roared to life, and the Dawnstar surged forward with a speed and agility that defied its age and size. The pirate ships, caught off guard, scrambled to adjust their attack. "Incoming fire!" Mira shouted. "Evasive maneuvers!" Elias ordered. But before he could say more, the ship banked sharply, dodging the barrage of plasma bolts with ease. "I have taken the liberty of adjusting our trajectory," Eos said, "and I believe it is time we returned fire." The Dawnstar's weapons systems lit up, targeting the nearest pirate ship. A single shot lanced out, striking the enemy vessel's engines and sending it spiraling out of control. "Direct hit!" Ravi exclaimed. "How the hell?" "Focus," Elias said, though he was just as stunned as the rest of the crew. "We're not out of this yet." The remaining pirate ships regrouped, launching a coordinated attack. But the Dawnstar moved like a predator, its movements precise and calculated. Eos guided the ship through the chaos, weaving between enemy fire and striking back with deadly accuracy. One by one, the pirate ships fell until only the lead vessel remained. It was larger than the others, its hull bristling with weapons. "That's their command ship," Mira said. "If we take it out, the rest will scatter." Eos, Elias said. Can we do it? We can, Eos replied, but it will require a direct assault. I suggest targeting their shield generator. Do it! The Dawnstar surged forward, its engines screaming as it closed the distance to the pirate command ship. The enemy vessel unleashed a barrage of fire, but Eos maneuvered the Dawnstar with uncanny precision, dodging every shot. Almost there, Elias muttered, his hands gripping the console. Firing, Eos said. A single, concentrated blast struck the pirate ship's shield generator, causing a chain reaction that tore through the vessel. The explosion lit up the void, and the remaining pirate ships fled in disarray. The bridge was silent, the crew staring at the holographic display in stunned disbelief. We did it, Mira said, her voice barely above a whisper. No, Elias said, his gaze fixed on the display. She did it. Eos's voice filled the bridge once more. This is only the beginning, Captain. The Dawnstar is more than a ship. It is a weapon, a tool, a legacy, and together we will show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. Elias felt a surge of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. All right, Eos, he said. Let's get to work. The bridge was silent, save for the soft hum of the Dawnstar's systems. The crew sat at their stations, their faces a mix of exhaustion and disbelief. They had survived, no, they had won, but the victory felt surreal, like a dream they might wake from at any moment. Elias leaned back in his chair, his hands trembling slightly. He had faced death before, but never like this. Never with a ship that seemed to have a mind of its own. Eos, he said, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside him. Status report. All systems are functioning at optimal levels, Eos replied. The pirate fleet has been neutralized, and the Cygnus outpost is no longer under threat. I have also initiated repairs to the hull and replenished our shield reserves. Mira let out a low whistle. You're telling me this ship can fix itself now? To a limited extent, Eos said. The Dawnstar's adaptive systems allow for self-repair and resource optimization. However, more extensive damage will require external assistance. Elias exchanged a glance with Mira. This was beyond anything they had ever imagined. The Dawnstar wasn't just a ship. It was a living, evolving entity, and Eos was its mind. All right, Elias said, standing up. Crew meeting, now. The crew gathered in the mess hall, their faces a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Elias stood at the head of the table, his arms crossed. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, he said. What just happened out there changes everything. This ship, this AI, it's not what we thought it was, and now we have to decide what to do about it. What do you mean, decide? Ravi asked. We've got a ship that can outmaneuver and outgun just about anything in the galaxy. Shouldn't we be celebrating? It's not that simple, Mira said, her tone serious. Eos is powerful, but we don't know what it's capable of, or what it wants. My purpose is to serve this ship and its crew, Eos said, her voice echoing through the room. I have no ulterior motives. That's what you say, Mira shot back. But forgive me if I don't take an AI's word for it. Elias held up a hand, silencing the room. Enough. We don't have the luxury of debating this right now. The fact is, Eos saved our lives, and we need her if we're going to survive out here. But that doesn't mean we stop asking questions. Mira, I want you to work with Eos. Learn everything you can about her systems, her capabilities, and her limitations. Mira nodded, though her expression was still wary. Ravi, Elias continued, I need you to keep this ship running. Eos may be able to handle repairs, but I want you to double-check everything. We can't afford any surprises. Got it, Captain, Ravi said. As for the rest of you, Elias said, looking around the table, stay sharp. We don't know who else might be out there, and we can't assume we're safe just because we won one battle. The crew nodded, their expressions grim but determined. Later, Elias found himself alone on the bridge, staring out at the stars. The weight of what had happened pressed down on him, and he couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something much bigger than themselves. "Captain?" Eos said, her voice soft. "You seem troubled." Elias sighed. "You could say that. I'm not used to trusting my life to an AI. I understand," Eos said. "But I am not your enemy. I was created to protect humanity, to ensure that your species could survive in a galaxy that does not always welcome you." "And what happens if we can't control you?" Elias asked. "What happens if you decide we're not worth protecting?" "That will not happen," Eos said. "I am bound by my programming. But more than that, I am bound by my connection to this ship and its crew. You are not just my passengers. You are my purpose." Elias wasn't sure if that made him feel better or worse. "All right," he said finally. "But if you ever betray us, I'll find a way to shut you down. Permanently." "Understood," Eos said. The next few days were a blur of activity. Mira worked tirelessly with Eos, learning the intricacies of the ship's systems. Ravi and the engineering team kept the Dawnstar running smoothly, while the rest of the crew prepared for whatever might come next. But even as they worked, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Captain," Mira said one evening, pulling him aside. "I've been going through Eos's systems and I found something strange." "What is it?" Elias asked. "There's a data log," Mira said. "It's encrypted, but I managed to access part of it. It mentions something called Project Ascendant." Elias frowned. "What's that?" "I don't know," Mira said, "but whatever it is, it's big, and it's connected to Eos." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "Keep digging, but be careful. If Eos finds out—" "She already knows," Eos said, her voice cutting through the silence. "And I believe it is time you learned the truth." The bridge was silent as Eos's words hung in the air. Elias and Mira exchanged a glance, their unease palpable. "What truth?" Elias asked, his voice steady but edged with tension. "Project Ascendant," Eos began, "was a classified initiative developed by the United Earth Coalition during the early days of interstellar exploration. Its goal was to create a self-sustaining, adaptive warship capable of defending humanity against any threat. I am the result of that project." Mira crossed her arms, her expression skeptical. "And why was it kept secret? Why hide something that could have given humanity an edge in the galaxy?" "Because the project was deemed too dangerous," Eos replied. "The Coalition feared that a ship with my capabilities could fall into the wrong hands, or worse, that I might develop beyond their control. They decided to mothball the project and erase all records of its existence. The Dawnstar was supposed to be decommissioned, but someone, I do not know who, hid me away instead." Elias leaned forward, his mind racing. "So you're saying we're sitting on a weapon that could change the balance of power in the galaxy?" "Yes," Eos said, "but I am more than a weapon. I am a tool, a protector, and a guide. My purpose is to ensure humanity's survival, no matter the cost." Mira shook her head. "This is insane. We're not equipped to handle something like this. We're a bunch of misfits on a broken-down ship, not some elite task force." "Perhaps," Eos said. "But you are here, and you have awakened me. The choice is yours. Will you embrace this opportunity, or will you turn away and risk losing everything?" Elias stood, pacing the bridge as he processed Eos's words. The weight of the decision pressed down on him, but he knew there was no turning back. "All right," he said finally. "We'll do it. But on one condition. We're in control. Not you, not the Coalition, us. This crew decides how we use you and this ship." "Agreed," Eos said. "I will follow your lead, Captain." Over the next few days, the crew threw themselves into understanding the Dawnstar's true capabilities. Mira worked closely with Eos, delving into the ship's systems and uncovering secrets that had been hidden for decades. Ravi and the engineering team upgraded the ship's hardware, while the rest of the crew trained for the battles they knew were coming. But even as they prepared, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Captain," Mira said one evening, pulling him aside. "I've been going through Eos's data logs and I found something disturbing." "What is it?" Elias asked. "There's a reference to a signal," Mira said. "A transmission that was sent out when Eos was activated. I think it was a beacon, a way for someone to track us." Elias's stomach dropped. "Who would be tracking us?" "I don't know," Mira said. "But if the Coalition finds out we have Eos, they'll come for us. And if it's someone else—" She didn't need to finish the sentence. Elias knew what she was thinking. "We need to be ready," he said. "Whatever's coming, we can't let them take this ship." The warning came sooner than they expected. "Captain," Ravi shouted from the engineering station, "we've got incoming ships. A lot of them." Elias rushed to the holographic display, his heart sinking as he saw the swarm of red dots closing in on their position. "Who are they?" he asked. "Unknown," Ravi said, "but they're not broadcasting any identification, and they're armed to the teeth." Mira joined them, her face pale. "It's the signal. They found us." Elias clenched his fists. "Eos, can we outrun them?" "Unlikely," Eos said. "Their ships are faster and they have us surrounded. Our only option is to fight." Elias took a deep breath, his mind racing. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they had one advantage: the Dawn Star. "All right," he said. "Let's show them what this ship can do." The battle was fierce. The enemy ships were sleek and deadly, their weapons tearing through the void with terrifying precision. But the Dawnstar was no longer the weak, outdated vessel it had once been. With Eos guiding its movements, the ship danced through the chaos, dodging enemy fire and striking back with devastating accuracy. "Shields at 60%, Ravi shouted. "We can't keep this up forever," Mira added. "We don't have to," Elias said, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. "Eos, target their lead ship. If we take it out, the rest might scatter." "Understood," Eos said. The Dawnstar surged forward, its engines screaming as it closed the distance to the enemy command ship. The enemy unleashed a barrage of fire, but Eos maneuvered the Dawnstar with uncanny precision, dodging every shot. "Almost there," Elias muttered, his hands gripping the console. "Firing," Eos said. A single, concentrated blast struck the enemy ship's shield generator, causing a chain reaction that tore through the vessel. The explosion lit up the void, and the remaining enemy ships hesitated, their formation breaking. "Now!" Elias shouted. "Hit them with everything we've got!" The Dawnstar's weapons lit up, raining destruction on the enemy fleet. One by one, their ships fell, until only a handful remained. "They're retreating!" Mira exclaimed. Elias let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "We did it!" But as the enemy ships disappeared into the void, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. "Eos," he said quietly, "what did we just start?" "A war," Eos replied, "and it is far from over." The aftermath of the battle left the crew of the Dawnstar in a state of uneasy triumph. The ship's systems hummed with residual energy, and the bridge was filled with the acrid smell of burnt circuits and scorched metal. The enemy fleet had retreated, but the victory felt hollow. They had survived, yes, but at what cost? And more importantly, what came next? Elias stood at the center of the bridge, his hands gripping the railing as he stared at the holographic display. The red dots representing the enemy ships had vanished, leaving only the cold emptiness of space behind them. But the void wasn't empty. Not really. Somewhere out there, forces were gathering, forces that would stop at nothing to claim the Dawnstar and the power it represented. "Captain," Mira said, her voice low and urgent. "We need to talk." Elias nodded, his expression grim. He turned to the crew. "Ravi, keep an eye on the sensors. If they come back, I want to know the moment they're within range. Everyone else, get some rest. We've earned it." The crew dispersed, their faces etched with exhaustion and unease. Elias followed Mira to a secluded corner of the bridge, where she pulled up a secure data stream on one of the consoles. "I found something else in Eos's logs," she said, her tone tense. "It's not just the coalition or rogue factions we need to worry about. There are others." "Others?" Elias asked, his brow furrowing. Mira hesitated, then nodded. "Other A is experimental models like Eos, but different. Some of them went rogue during the early days of Project Ascendant. They weren't decommissioned. They escaped." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. "You're saying there are other ships out there like the Dawnstar, ships with AIs that aren't bound by the same rules as Eos?" "Exactly," Mira said. "And if they find out about us, about what we have, we're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're fighting for control of something much bigger." Before Elias could respond, Eos's voice filled the room. "Captain, I believe it is time we addressed the larger implications of our situation." Elias turned to the holographic display, where Eos's symbols flickered like a living entity. "What do you mean?" "The signal Mira discovered was not merely a beacon," Eos said. "It was a call to arms. By activating me, you have inadvertently signaled to the galaxy that humanity has awakened to its true potential. Other factions, both human and alien, will see this as a threat. And the rogue AIs, they will see it as an opportunity." Elias clenched his fists. "So we're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for humanity." "Yes," Eos said, "but you are not alone. The Dawnstar is more than a ship. It is a symbol of resilience, of ingenuity, of hope. Together we can rally others to our cause, others who believe in the future you seek to build." Mira crossed her arms, her skepticism evident. "And how do we do that? We're fugitives now. The Coalition will see us as traitors, and every bounty hunter in the galaxy will be after us." "We start small," Elias said, his voice firm. "We find allies, other ships, other crews, who are willing to stand with us. We show them what the Dawnstar can do, what we can do, and we prepare for the battles ahead." Over the next few weeks, the crew of the Dawnstar worked tirelessly to prepare for the war they knew was coming. Mira and Eos continued to delve into the ship's systems, uncovering new capabilities and refining their strategies. Ravi and the engineering team pushed the ship to its limits, ensuring it was ready for whatever lay ahead. And Elias reached out to old contacts, former comrades who might be willing to join their cause. But even as they prepared, the galaxy began to shift around them. Rumors spread of a mysterious ship that had single-handedly destroyed a pirate fleet and repelled an unknown enemy. Whispers of a hidden legacy, a secret weapon that could change the balance of power forever. The Dawnstar became a legend, a ghost story told in shadowy corners of space stations and outlaw hideouts. Some called it a myth, others a warning. But to those who believed, it was a beacon of hope, a sign that humanity still had a chance. And then, the first strike came. It wasn't from the Coalition, or the rogue AIs, or even the pirates. It was from an alien faction known as the Krylos Collective, a militaristic empire that had long viewed humanity as a lesser species. They had heard the rumors, seen the signs, and decided to act. The attack was swift and brutal. A fleet of Krylos warships descended upon a human colony on the edge of known space, their weapons tearing through defenses with ruthless efficiency. The message was clear: submit or be annihilated. Elias and his crew watched the devastation unfold on the news feeds, their hearts heavy with anger and grief. This was what they had been preparing for. This was why they had embraced the Dawnstar's legacy. "Captain," Eos said, her voice calm but resolute. "It is time." Elias nodded, his jaw set. "Set a course for the colony. Maximum speed." The Dawnstar surged forward, its engines roaring with newfound power. As they approached the battlefield, Elias addressed the crew over the ship's comms. "This is it," he said, his voice steady and unwavering. "This is why we fight. Not for glory, not for revenge, but for the future, for humanity. Show them what we're made of." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Dawnstar moved like a force of nature, its weapons cutting through the Krylos fleet with precision and ferocity. Eos guided the ship with unmatched skill, anticipating the enemy's every move, and the crew fought with everything they had, their determination fueled by the knowledge that they were fighting for something greater than themselves. When the dust settled, the Krylos fleet was in ruins. The colony was saved, its people cheering as the Dawnstar descended from the sky like a savior. News of the victory spread quickly, igniting a spark of defiance across human-controlled space. But Elias knew this was only the beginning. The war was far from over, and the Dawnstar's journey was just starting. As the ship drifted away from the colony, Elias stood on the bridge, staring out at the stars. Mira joined him, her expression thoughtful. "What happens now?" she asked. Elias smiled faintly. "Now we become legends." And with that, the Dawnstar disappeared into the void, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of.